When Ford introduced the Mach-E, it was a bit of a pioneer. It was the first all-electric vehicle to wear the Mustang name. In fact, it was the first SUV to wear the Mustang name as well. But Ford was also a bit ahead of the game by introducing a high-performance Mustang GT model. Well, they're at it again, and the brand has introduced a rally-inspired version of the GT, simply called the Rally. So the Mach-E Rally sits on top of the model hierarchy, and it's pretty easy to identify it at a quick glance. So there's dark gray, although it kind of looks black, body cladding protection on the front and rear bumper as well as the side sills, and that same color is used for the dual stripes on the hood. The roof is also that dark gray black color, and of course the most noticeable feature is that giant spoiler on the back. It is definitely rally inspired with its thick side plates and its multiple planes and wings and slats, and yeah, it's not going to be missed, and it's pretty clear what its intentions are. And if that's not enough and you're still not sure what this is, well, it's available in crazy bright colors like my yellow, but there are more subtle colors. Regardless of color though, you get these giant Mach-E Rally graphics down the side, just in case someone's not sure what they're looking at. And speaking of the side, it has 19-inch wheels that, in this case, are gloss white with gray graphics, and they're very rally inspired. They have that sort of classic OZ rally wheel look, and if you want, you can also get them in a dark gray with white graphics. Furthering the rally look, of course, are the two high-mounted fog lights in the front bumper. And it's not just all looks, there is some actual protection. There's an aluminum underbody tray up front in case you bottom out while bombing down that special stage. The one body structure item that isn't available on the Rally though is the giant glass panoramic roof. Now, one could argue that's due to weight savings and lower the center of gravity as this is a performance model, but I'm thinking maybe Ford just playing it safe, as who wants to shatter their glass roof while sliding sideways in a thick gravel road? The Mach-E Rally is unique in the sense it's kind of not unique because it's a little bit of everything all thrown together. It's like Ford just checked off every box it possibly could. It's a Mustang, it's an electric vehicle, it's an SUV, it's a rally special, it's a drag strip monster, and it's a family vehicle. Basically, it's trying to be a lot of things for a lot of different people. So let's take a look at each aspect more in depth and see how well it succeeds. All right, to start off, let's get into the name, Mustang Mach-E. I will forever be of the opinion that Ford should have just called this the Mach-E and not put on the Mustang name. They still could have used the design cues which are present on this vehicle, with the headlights and taillights mimicking that of the brand's pony car. And its sort of coupe-like shape, could have done that too. And with the Mach-E lettering in the style of the original Mach 1, people would get the connection. I also don't think calling it a Mustang has absolutely ruined the brand and it's the biggest travesty. I mean, I could really care less in that sense. I just think it kind of confuses people calling it the Mustang Mach-E. That aside, I guess it is one of the more performance-orientated, stylish, sleeker EVs. So maybe it doesn't live up to the Mustang heritage, but giving it a sport coupe's name isn't too far off what it's trying to achieve, even though, yes, it's an electric, high-riding, four-door SUV. Having said that, you know what? Maybe it shouldn't have the Mustang name, which I said at the beginning. Just call it Mach-E Ford, and then all of this circular confusion would all disappear. Moving on, I did call it a drag strip monster, and okay, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. This isn't really at home at the strip. But it does do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 3.4 seconds, which is quicker than most vehicles on the road. And that's because it has 480 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque. Yes, 700. That's because the Mach-E Rally includes the Mach-E GT Performance Upgrade as standard, which boosts torque by 100 pound-feet to that magical 700 number. Driving around, does it feel like it has that much power? Oh yeah. Stab the accelerator, and it just takes off, especially when you're in the unbridled mode, and I'll get to the drive modes in a second. Even on the highway, a place where a lot of EVs sort of lose their advantage and start to equal out with their gasoline counterparts, the Mach-E Rally still has so much power. I can go from 60 miles an hour to well above any legal speed limit in North America, quicker than I have any right to. The nice thing too about the power delivery and acceleration in the Mach-E is it's not as sudden of an on-off switch as some other high-powered EVs. Ford has done a good job giving it a more natural linear feel to sort of how a traditional gasoline engine, especially a naturally aspirated one, delivers power. It's not this instant torque on-off switch. If you do want that instant torque, oh yeah, you can stab the accelerator and it gets up and goes. Unlike most Mach-E's, the Rally only has 3 drive modes. They're Whisper, Engage, and Unbridled. So Whisper's your sort of calm, everyday driving, got the family in the car, you don't want to upset them. Engage is sort of maybe where you could drive every day if you want a little more spirited drive. It gives a little quicker throttle response and a little bit more regen braking power. And then Unbridled is full throttle response and heavy regen braking standard. Now, any of the modes you can do one pedal driving, which I never do because I'm not a fan. But in Unbridled, there's also a mode called Rally Sport. And what that does is it makes power delivery more rear biased through the rear motor. It pretty much turns off regen braking, gives you crazy quick throttle response, and just has the whole chassis set up more for, sideways driving through the dirt. This is the Rally after all, and what would it be without some sort of rally mode? So how does it work as an electric vehicle? Well, pretty good. The Mach-E is one of my more liked electric vehicles on the market currently. I've always enjoyed sort of the balance of power, decent range, driving sophistication. In the Rally, you do lose a little bit of range, and you're only going to get about 265 miles on a charge, which will dramatically be reduced if you're using the Rally Sport mode all the time. The Rally only comes with the extended range battery, so the 91 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it can charge at speeds up to 150 kilowatt, which is good if there's a charger nearby that can actually achieve those speeds. Ford now also allows consumers to buy adapters, so you can use any charging network in North America, which is nice to have the choice. So how does it rally? I mean, it isn't its name after all. Well, it does have all the right bits and hardware. There's a specially tuned Rally Cross Magna Ride dampening system, and the suspension itself does sit 1 inch higher, giving it more ground clearance. And as I mentioned earlier, there's the underbody tray and the side cladding to help protect some of the sheet metal and important bits. On the wheels are 235 millimeter wide Michelin Cross Climate 2 Performance all-season tires, and these are way more aggressive than a regular all-season tire. Okay, maybe not an actual all-terrain tire, but calling it all-season maybe doesn't give you the right impression of just how aggressive they are. Being the Mach-E GT sort of as its foundation, it does have the Brembo brake, so it's got great stopping power. And like I said, there's that Rally Sport mode, which will help kick the back end out and rip around dirt roads. I haven't really got to push it as hard as I'd like to because this isn't my vehicle, and I don't think Ford would be too excited if it ended up in a ditch. But it does slide out and rip around gravel and dirt roads with a lot of enthusiasm and, most importantly, a lot of fun. This may not be a rebirth of a 90s Subaru STI or Mitsubishi Evo. It is much heavier and the power delivery is a little different. Of course, you're missing all those cool turbo noises. But as far as an EV goes, there's no real equal to this. Hyundai has the Ioniq 5 XRT, but that's missing the power of this vehicle, and it just feels like the more total package, visually and with the mechanical bits and just the feel behind the wheel. It's still more of a high-powered EV than a sideways sliding monster, but it's kind of cool what Ford did to give it actual bits as opposed to just making it sort of a cosplay pretender. Is it gonna go win the next North American Rally Championship? No, not at all. But at least it's capable in the loose surface, and oh man, is this thing fun in the snow. Obviously it's not the right weather now, but I've had plenty of colleagues tell me just how much of a blast it is putting it in rally sport on a freshly snowed over road and just letting her rip. As an SUV, well, the Rally makes the Mach-E more of a proper sport utility. I mean, their original goal was to be able to go places cars couldn't, especially off the pavement, and all of the enhancements to this vehicle makes it better. But with other SUV-ness activities, like cargo carrying, well, the Mach-E is a little compromised. The battery pack and electric motors take up a lot of the floor space, and because of the cool coupe-like shape, the roofline really slopes down and doesn't really give much of a cargo hold. The Mach-E Rally, it comes with a lot of the usual high-end SUV stuff like a power liftgate, rain-sensing wipers. There's this rectangular 10.2-inch digital instrument panel cluster screen thing in front of the driver that can't really be adjusted, but it has all the basic information one would need. And then, of course, beside it is the giant LCD capacitive touch screen, which, yeah, if you're into huge tablet screens, it's one of the better ones, but I'm not, and I hate how climate control's buried into the menus. The big volume knob is cool how they integrated it into the actual screen, but I'd rather it be, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches shorter and have actual physical buttons for important things like the climate control. Anyway, end of that rant. Back to what else the vehicle has. There's a heated steering wheel, heated front seats, the B&O sound system with 10 speakers, including a subwoofer. There's wireless phone charging, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are also wireless. And the only feature that is actually an extra cost that is on this vehicle, which is totally worth it, is Ford's hands-free highway driving Blue Cruise system. So as an SUV, it's okay, but this might be one of its weaker points. And that brings us to the final question. How is it as a family vehicle? Well, on just a passenger space perspective, pretty good. Front seat passengers have very comfortable seats and the driver's power multi-adjustable. And the rear seat can easily fit adults, and although the window slopes down a bit, there's still decent sight lines out of it. And if you have 3 kids, they can fit in a pinch, but it's probably going to be more of a 2-person space. The concept of having a electric SUV that's Mustang styled and rally inspired as your everyday family vehicle, well, that might be a bit much. It's not the most practical choice, but if you can only buy one vehicle and you want it to do everything, well, this sure does do a lot, including taking a big chunk out of your bank account. Speaking of which, let's get on to pricing. In the US, the Mach-E Rally comes in at just over $60,000 including destination charges, and the only option on my tester is the $2,000 Blue Cruise, which is totally worth it, as I said earlier. In Canada, well, you're looking at just over $80,000, and again, you need to add Blue Cruise as an extra cost item on top, which at that price point is well worth it. But that brings up the question, is the Mach-E worth it as a whole? That's actually an interesting thing to think about because, as we all know, electric vehicles are more expensive than their gasoline counterparts, more or less. It's pretty much a fact across the board. But there's no real gasoline equal to the Mach-E. There's no rally-inspired SUV with stupid amounts of horsepower and torque for around $60,000 it competes with. I mean, I guess you could go after some high-performance SUVs, but most of those are road-focused. The Wrangler Rubicon, I mean, that's not the same sort of vehicle, so I guess it is worth it because it doesn't really have anything you can compare it to, so if you want something like this, this is your choice. So what to make of the Mach-E? Well, I guess it really depends on perspective. One could argue that this is trying to be too many things to too many people, and it's a bit compromised all around. Others, such as me, could say this single vehicle can do so many things. In fact, I think it's one of the coolest vehicles for $60,000 currently on sale, electric or otherwise.